Two odd volumes of Shakespeare. A half-century later, the German writer Karl Knorz said of America that there is certainly no land on the whole earth in which Shakespeare and the Bible are held in such high esteem. It helped that in a Bible-obsessed nation, Shakespeare's language sounded so similar to that of the King James Version, 1611, contributing to the sense that his plays were a kind of secular scripture. Yet it was more than the these and thous of Elizabethan English that drew Americans to his words. Many of the issues that preoccupied Shakespeare and his contemporaries in the late 16th century, the dangers of autocratic rule, the imagined threat posed by those of different races, religions, or nationalities, the slippery boundaries of gender, were still unsettling to 19th century Americans. Shakespeare had usefully framed these as conflicts, resolved through bloodshed in his histories and tragedies, and more peacefully, if provisionally, in his comedies, social and political collisions that could be readily viewed through the prism of America's past and present. Yet much of the mystery of why has America embraced Shakespeare remains unsolved. All one can safely say is that Shakespeare took root in the United States because he spoke to what Americans cared about. But his plays were not interpreted by everyone in the same ways, especially as divisions deepened between social classes, between the industrial North and slave-holding South, between new waves of immigrants and earlier settlers, as well as between those who believed in America's manifest destiny and those wary of such imperial ambitions. At first glance, it seems almost perverse that Americans would choose to make essential to their classrooms and theaters a writer whose works enact some of their darkest nightmares or most lurid fantasies. A black man marrying then killing a white woman, a Jew threatening to cut a pound of a Christian's flesh, the brutal assassination of a ruler deemed tyrannical, the taming of a wife who defies male authority. Hamlet alone touches on incest, suicide, drunkenness, adultery, and fratricide. As I write these words in November 2018, a news report describes how parents of students at Mitchell High School in Bakersville, North Carolina, were shocked to discover that a performance of the satirical 1987 adaptation The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, abridged, at the school, included suicide, alcohol consumption, and bad language. What they seem to have found even more objectionable was a same-sex kiss. The troubled parents later gathered in a prayer circle before circulating a petition calling for the local school board to ban any group from performing in the district if they promote homosexuality, incest, suicide, or any other that would be contrary to life. It's hard to invent a better example of how Shakespeare speaks to the fears that divide us as a nation. Yet calls for censorship will not make those divisions, and what some may find disturbing, disappear. His writing continues to function as a canary in a coal mine, alerting us to, among other things, the toxic prejudices poisoning our cultural climate. At some deep level, Americans intuit that our collective nightmares are connected to the sins of our national past, papered over or repressed in the making of America and its greatness. On occasion, Shakespeare's plays allow us to recognize, if not acknowledge, this. It turns out that who gets to perform in Shakespeare's plays is a fairly accurate index of who is considered fully American. As far back as the 1820s, when Ira Aldridge had to move from New York to London in order to play Othello, Shylock, and other roles denied to African Americans in the United States, those who aren't accepted as truly American, because they don't look or sound the part, have been rejected when it comes to being cast as one of Shakespeare's heroes or heroines. Their experience is epitomized in a short story, The Schoolboy Hamlet, published in 1946 by the Japanese-American writer Toshio Mori in The Pacific Citizen, a San Francisco-based newspaper that during the war moved to Utah's Topaz War Relocation Center.